Good afternoon and welcome back to another video with a guy and his projects. Today we are working on the 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee WJ V8 5.4 liter. Wow. I'm working on the Ford a lot. 4.7 liter WJ, the V8. This has the hydraulic fan cooling system, so it runs off the power steering pump, and I am about to replace that with a mechanical fan clutch. And that's what this video is going to be about. It's not what to do to your car and how to make it better. It's about what I'm doing to make my car in a way that I feel makes it better. Follow me at your own discretion. I do not know what I'm doing. I'm kind of piecing this together as I go. I've done some reading on some of the old forums, and I will share that information as we go. This is what we got. I got a new fan shroud. I got the mechanical fan clutch with some hardware. I will tell you what size I use later. I got a new fan. I got a power steering pump from a different Jeep. I'll link that down below. And I got a new high pressure steering line, which I didn't know I would need the first time I did this intro. But I got that now, so we should be good there. This, I think, is all we need. I said that before I got the high pressure steering line. I think the return line on the pump, we can just use soft hose. I think we're going to be okay with this setup. It's a lot of thinks because I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So the hydraulic fan in these, I'm not having any major issues. I've been using this Jeep as a delivery vehicle for Amazon Flex recently, and I found on all the miles and 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 miles of dirt road driving out here doing that the fan does great and fine if I don't have the AC on. My temps will stay down to 198 degrees. There's a 196 degree thermostat, so that makes sense. But if I turn the AC on, the air conditioning, that temp will rise and it'll maintain somewhere between 220 and 230 degrees. The fan will kick on high speed and drop it down to about 210, where it goes back into slow speed. I'm kind of making some of this up, but generalization. And then it'll just warm up again to 220, 230 before it kind of slowly calms down again. So the fan is doing its job. But when it gets up that hot, the AC stops being very cold. It gets kind of warm actually until the temperature climbs back down. So we are going to put in the fan clutch, ideally mechanically, and get rid of this whole system here. Let me get a light and I'll show you what we got. It's kind of squishy in here, I know, but it is what it is. So you need the new fan shroud because the hydraulic fan is built into the shroud on this, and it's just not good for a mechanical fan. So you need a new fan shroud. That's why we got that. Currently you have your high pressure line right here, runs across, goes down to the pump, and then it returns. All that stuff, we don't need that. We're going to get rid of that. There's going to be no hoses over here anymore. The return line is the only thing I'm not 100% sure on, but we're going to figure that out momentarily when we get this apart, hopefully. So I don't think we need to pull the radiator. I hope we don't have to pull the upper hose. We may. Hey there, just stopping in to say this is Jeremy from the future who knows how this job went, and I am here to tell you to, in my recommendation, go watch my video on how to remove or replace the radiator on this Jeep. And after you watch that, yeah, just go ahead and remove it. You'll save yourself so much. It's not that bad to remove the radiator on these. It's a little bit involved, yes, but your life will be so much easier to just remove it, mainly because what I don't know right now, what I didn't know when I filmed this video when I was going through the project, is the new radiator shroud is not going to fit perfectly, and you're going to have to do some minor adjustments. Those minor adjustments are going to be way easier to do with the radiator out anyway. So just go ahead and plan on removing your radiator with the fan, and life will be easier, I promise. That's what I end up doing here in a little bit in the video anyway, is removing the whole thing. So that's all I got to say for now. Adios. Good luck. But we do need to pull the power steering fluid system off. The whole pump is going to come out. Therefore, I'm probably going to pull the coolant hose off anyway, just to give myself that extra room. But maybe not. I don't know. We're probably going to go downstairs and pull the hose off of the power steering pump and let that drain, because we don't really need to be, well, we're going to make a mess, especially if I pull this off, but we don't need to make any more of a mess than necessary. Okay, so I hope you guys can see. There's lots of light for you. I'm a little lacking, but I don't need light. All right, so here you have your hose coming off of the reservoir. Then you got your two high pressure lines. All three of these have to come off. This one's just clamped on for me. I want to just squeeze this clamp together, pull it off. This one will contain the most fluid because this is actually coming from the bottom of the reservoir. Oh, come on now. There it goes. So once you get that free, this is where you start making a mess. Pull it off. Okay, maybe pull it off. Let me get a hose stick. I have no idea where my hose picks are, so we're going to use hose pliers. Okay, here we go. Mess time. And that's why we got the drain pan down here. So like I said, that's going to drain pretty much everything in the reservoir. Okay, so while that drains, I want to go ahead and grab these guys. So this bigger one right here seems to be a 21. I think it's actually a 20, but I don't have a 20, so I'm calling it a 21. Oh, I just splattered my shirt. Same thing. Sway bar's in the way of this one, but we'll just let it drip in the pan. Fluid's really good because I've replaced this pump like 4 times, and I've also had this fan in and out like 5 times. Over the course of my ownership, we've replaced the engine once, the radiator twice, and other stuff. It's great. Alright, this middle hose is like an 18. We'll loosen this the loosening way too. Just bought these gloves at Harbor Freight today. They're green, which is incidentally my favorite color, and I thought I'd like them, but man, they're kind of flashy. I'm used to the blue and the black. Every once in a while you wear purple. Never had green before. Makes absolutely zero difference, but I don't know, it's weird. I'm weird, I know, okay? Alright, I'm gonna pop the center one off now. So that's free. Let's see if we can get this one out of here. There we go. So now, while we're still under the Jeep, whether you're laying on your back or what have you, we have 2 bolts on this fan shroud. You got one right here and then one on the other side. The one over there seems easy. The driver's side, you're gonna have to work around this lower radiator hose, but it's right above that radiator hose. I think they're 10 mils. It feels like 10 mil. I'm gonna take those out. Now you're not gonna be able to see me down there because it's so dark, so I'm gonna go take those out. I'll be back to you. Okay, once you get those 2 bottom bolts out, and this one on the passenger side you can reach from up here too. Either way, however you want to do it. This one you could probably reach, but it's kind of down here. Easier from the bottom. Doesn't matter. And then we're going to get up to the top ones. Can't get the GoPro down where I want it to go. And there's another bolt. So right underneath this, whatever the hell, this thing that leaks all the time. There's another bolt right under there, 10 millimeter. And then on this side, it is right under the power steering or the coolant hose. I'm also looking at this a little closer. I bet you we just pull this out just to make things easier, but kind of think we should, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get those 2 bolts there as well. Again, 10 mil. Okay, I have the 3 lines down below unhooked. I've got all 4 bolts from the fan shroud removed. Now we gotta unconnect our electrical, unconnect, disconnect, whatever. It's got the stupid typical red tabs. You gotta pull out that way, and then you can depress and pull. Highly doubt you guys can watch me do that, but let's see. I'm just gonna throw you guys wherever you just ended up. So grab this, pull that out, and depress and pull. Actually pulled out good. Make sure this pigtail is not connected to the fan anymore. I'm gonna shove that over there. We're gonna address that later too. See if we can't keep the engine light off for that. Engine light's on for 9 other things, but for that, we'll try and leave it off. Now, if you have factory airbox, this might be a little more challenging. I have the K&N, so this line right here going in the steer box is gonna come off. That is an 18 millimeter for me, but I have replaced these. Oh, there it goes. Make sure that comes with your O-ring, which mine did. That's good. Now I want to try and snake that out of here. It's a little game of how are you going to come out. There we go. We're successful. All right, so that line's out of the way. This line we can get away with. I've replaced this before like everything else in this Jeep, so it has a quick connect right here. So let me grab a couple wrenches. Okay, for me, this is a 22 mil and a 27. Okay, now we're gonna pull this hose up. We are now at a point where this should theoretically be free. We're just gonna have to fight literally everything around it to get it out. So let me clean up and then we'll fight. All right, so before we're so rudely interrupted by the camera a minute ago, this AC line swivels in place. It's not the best practice to move it around. In fact, you probably don't want to. I just kind of looked like it's gonna be in the way. Oh, so I just bumped it up like that and called it a day. Overall, I think we are disconnected now. We're certainly gonna find out. Uh-oh. Almost feels like we're still connected on the bottom somewhere. Because I have an aftermarket bumper down there, it's kind of blocking the shroud. So I gotta pick up the radiator with the shroud for at least the first like inch. And then I think I'll be homeward bound. Uh-oh. We're still a little seized in it. Just kind of trying to lift it up and pull the shroud out if I can. It sits down in there with it. Only with that transmission line down there, it's going to prove a little difficult, I'm sure. So this side's almost out. Okay. So this side's home free. We're going to go ahead and just pull this line off. So we're going to make a little coolant mess. I'll have to burp this later, but I think it's going to be worth it. Just to get it out of the way. Probably going to take both sides off. Just because, like I said, I don't think you have to. But it's in my way, and I decided I want to, so. Don't want to do this when it's hot, by the way. Okay. Wow, I think I caught most of it for once. At this rate, I'm actually thinking if you did pop the transmission lines off, it'd almost be easier just to pull the whole radiator off. Shoot, we're pretty much there. Okay, so I just went, sorry about the noise, but it's way too hot in here. I think that's our holdup. If we take the transmission lines and the radiator hose off, that should give us plenty of play and stop playing with this, so we might do that. Alright, I went ahead and pulled the lower radiator hose in hopes that might have been the big holdup. And in so doing, I pushed the radiator back. I had it almost out too. I'm starting to think this would have been so much easier if we just disconnected and pulled the radiator as a whole. Okay, we're just taking the whole radiator. Screw it. Okay, so I've given up on just trying to get the shroud out. We're gonna take the whole radiator out. So I went ahead and removed the lower coolant hose. I think you might be okay, but the last time I put this together, I think I might have crossed these lines, so I can't push this one back far enough to get it out of the way because this one stops it. So we're just gonna go ahead and take these hoses off here as well. I like to mark them, so I got that one zip tied with a yellow zip tie, and then I've got it zip tied over here with a yellow zip tie too, so I know which hose that one goes to. That's just my typical method. I'm gonna go ahead and pull those two hoses off, and then up here you've got your two bolts. You got one up here holding the radiator to the Jeep, and the other holding the condenser to the radiator. So both of those are out, and I think if I had known that, I would have just started doing that and not fought this whole time. And it might be different with the stock Jeep, but right now I'm fighting this aftermarket bumper or radiator guard. I'm fighting that too. So it's not a big deal to pull it. I've had this radiator out about 5 times, in the 3 years I've had this Jeep. So it's not a big deal. We're just gonna do it. Okay, eventually you get to a point where you can pull this off. Now, theoretically, we've struggled all day. Just pull this whole thing out. Watch your head cable. Oops. Hope I didn't just break the radiator. Okay, now we just got the AC condenser hooking up. Oh, but we can pull that out. Alright, that was the main goal that whole time. Yeah, if your Jeep is like mine, modified at all, it's going to be that big of a pain in the butt, I highly recommend you just go ahead and proceed with the radiator removal. Alright, so now, before we put this back down, let me see if this fan clutch is going to even thread on. Make sure I bought one that's compatible. Oh, hi guys, you're in my way. Alright, so let's see if this will thread on. Without cross-threading, preferably. Right there. Look at that. Okay, so this should work. So now we need to go put the fan blade on this and get the fan shroud mounted. And we'll just go ahead and do that while we can access these screws really easy. Seems how we've gone this far. In fact, I should pull out the radiator and we'll do the power steering pump while we're out too. Snake the rest of this out. Alright, power steering pump. Seems how we've got it this far. We might as well just get that part out of the way because that's going to be all of its own thing. So, I think it's a 13 mil and a ratchet. For mine, it's actually 15 mil, sorry. We're gonna pull this. We're gonna just pull this belt off. Might not need to take it all the way off, I guess, just the power steering pump. Go ahead and let that hang there because we're gonna be right back to it. Stay. Alright, so this, I believe, was 13. There's 3 bolts holding it. Now we're gonna have 2 hoses on it, but let's get those 13s. And we're gonna go ahead and drop in this top one here. Move that out of the way. Drop down to the bottom one. There's 2, and then the last one right here. Okay. So, pull this bolt out too. And then we've got our low pressure hookup right here, the reservoir bottom one, which is what we're getting rid of here. So let me get Phillips for that, or pull this out. Okay, now this can come out here. Alright, so our new power steering pump will be a little different because it doesn't have your hole in the bottom here. Could have used the other one, but whatever. So we're gonna go ahead and pop this in here. Then we're gonna tighten this guy up. Don't know how tight to go. We don't want to break that nipple off, so we're gonna stop right there. Theoretically, we can go ahead and mount this again. Alright, so power steering pump is in. We've got our cooler hose in. Going to the cooler, which is part of the condenser apparently. We got the other power steering line going into the condenser apparently, so that's good. So now we just need the pressure line to go from here to the steering gear, which I have, I hope. Which I'm hoping is this contraption. Not really sure how it goes. I'm thinking something like that maybe. Let's get in here. I'm gonna pull off this guy. There's that. It's really funny because all we gotta do is go from here to here, but we gotta go up, around, and everything else. So I think it's supposed to do something like so. I think. But I don't know how that goes exactly. So let's shove this back here. Ugh. Okay. We're gonna have to put an O-ring on that by the time when the time comes. We can do something oh, there we go. Okay, now we're fitting. Okay. Remind me to tighten that one back up. Alright, so then we need these O-rings. I'm gonna stab one around this guy here. I'm gonna shove this guy down in there. Right there is about tight. So now we got a little O-ring for this side. Now we just start the arduous journey of tightening her. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to put our belt back on. So we should be good on that note. Alright, so your fan clutch is going to sit like this. Oh, there it is. Your fan clutch is going to sit like this, with this being the water pump here. This fan has a front and a back. Front, I'm presuming, means towards the bumper. So presumably, it's going to mount like this. So, I'm going to go ahead and set her down. And I'm going to grab some blue Loctite. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a little blue Loctite on this. I'm going to thread it in by hand. And we'll do the other ones the same way. I'm going to torque those down to, I don't know, not much. I'm just going to go like that. Like that. Like that. Like that. Okay. So now this will roll in like so. Hopefully. Hello, it's me from the future again, the guy that actually knows how this project ended already, because unless you skipped ahead, I've already lived it and moved on. So, quick heads up, the radiator shroud, the fan shroud that I'm putting on in this video right now did not work out for me as well as I wanted it to. It did work, but there's a better alternative, and I'll explain that here in a second. The fan shroud I put in is what the forums all recommended. However, not all of them. I ended up, after I put this in, I bought a used fan shroud off of eBay that came directly off of a 1999 or a 2000, I don't remember, 4.7 liter that had the electric fan with the fan clutch. That is what I am currently running. I don't show that in the video because it was a later endeavor thing. But it is way, 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 way better. It fits better all the way around except the mounting points. There's no air gaps like the one in this video has, and I highly recommend it. That said, if you're stuck in your installing what I'm installing, it did work. I have a little clip at the end of this video showing you how much suction it put through. So it did work, just not the way I wanted it to. So good luck. Alright, so now the fan shroud itself, we might as well go ahead and bolt in. Seems how we got it to this point, super inconveniently. So please note that there is a gap right there. So once you move that, we may okay, I'm thinking that this is not a perfect fit. Okay, so here's where we're at. The upper holes match. There's a big gap up on top, but I'm not worried about that. We can shove something in later. So these bottom holes do not match up to my radiator whatsoever. This one's about 3/4 of an inch off. I just drilled through the plastic and pinched it with the bolt for now. There's also a big gap here, but again, we can shove that with some insulating foam later and some sticky stuff. Over here, again, top one matched, more or less. This bottom one, Again, 3/4 of an inch off. Again, I just custom plastic and it's pinched in there. It's not great, but it's solid right now. It's not coming off, so we'll be all right. So now we're gonna go ahead and shove this back in and see if we can't get the fan clutch mounted with it. So I think what we're gonna do, I'm gonna slide this in and kind of just drop it down in there. And then, just gonna kind of fish it in like so. Trying to avoid all the obstacles. Oops. Fan sensors out of the way here. Here we go. Try and pick up the condenser. Kind of let her fall into place. Gotta try and wiggle around the condenser, because the condenser actually has to be on top of the radiator bracket. Alright, that makes life easier. Okay, this side's latched in. So right now I can say I'm not overly happy with the way this is going together. Yeah, so if we look over here, if we look on this side, I can fit my whole hand in here. Down here I can fit a fist. But over on this side, I can't even get my pinky finger in. It's real close, but it ain't touching currently. It's not touching, so hopefully it's good. We'll find out. I think at this point we're ready to put the brace here and we'll see how that goes. I know this goes in here. Oh yeah, so that closes that gap, so that's no issue. Alright guys, I have done a horrible job filming the end of this video. But we're going to correct that right now. This is the next morning. So yesterday when I was working on this, the kids came out to play, and then it was all daddy this, daddy that, which is awesome. But at the same time, distracted me from this job. And then other things happened, and I kind of just threw this back together in a quick hurry. So I kind of stopped filming, because anytime you film something, nothing goes fast. So it's all put back together for the most part. Let me show you where we're at. So I don't remember kind of when I put the camera away. I think it was after this went on. This does not fit. I don't know if that's just they sent me a bad one, or if this part number is non-compatible. Several people on the forum said this is what they used, but this part number did not fit very well at all. What ended up happening is after I slid the radiator back in place with the fan shroud on and the fan clutch, the fan does not fit in here good at all. So this fan shroud is way off centered. Case in point over here, if you look at the fan blade, I can fit my whole hand between the fan blade and the shroud. But over here, oh, if you can see that, I can't even fit a finger. Like, there is like not even a finger. There's like 2 centimeters worth of space over here. So when I was spinning it, this was contacting. So what I just did is I got a heat gun on this and I heated it up. It's right here in this corner where it's hitting. So I heated it up real good and I tried to kind of pull it out, and that worked. I did end up ripping it a little bit, but that's okay. It's not going anywhere. You can plastic weld that back if it bothers you, but it's still pretty solid. I mean, it's thick plastic. So I was able to pull that and bend it out a ways, and now I can spin the fan and it doesn't contact anything. There is some flex play in here, and I kind of wonder is the Jeep flexes if it'll contact anything. We'll find out. But the fan clutch is on, the blade is on, the shroud is on, radiator's back in. As a follow-up, if I was to do this job again, I wouldn't even trying to take that electric or the hydraulic fan out without the radiator. I would just presume and proceed with pulling the radiator. It just, once I decided to do that, it was so much faster. Don't even struggle, just pull the radiator. Yeah, you're gonna lose some coolant, yeah, big deal. Oh well. Way faster pulling the radiator, just do it. So anywho, that is the setup, and we're about to find out if she works. I think she's going to. I'm quite excited. So I know some people want to put an electric fan in there too. I would be willing to bet with this current setup that you've got tons of room. There is a lot of room between this fan and the radiator. So I went ahead and I refilled the radiator. There's lots of videos on that if you need help filling the radiator. I just filled it from here, popped the bleed screw out, filled it all the way to the tippy top, topped off my radiator, and now we're all good to go. I did fill up the power steering fluid. When you fill up the power steering fluid, something you'll want to do is, I have the lift so it's different, but jack up your front end and then turn your key to the on position and just turn your steering wheel all the way one way and all the way back the other way several times, like, I don't know, 10 times, I don't know. And that'll kind of help get the bubbles out of here. The check engine light on this is on. It's always going to be on. I've given up caring. But if you want to get rid of the check engine light for the fan, I'm going to imagine you just take this harness that was plugged into the old fan, and I'm going to picture you can pull this solenoid out and plug that solenoid into it, I think. And then if you just plug the solenoid in, I would imagine you'll be okay on your ground or your check engine light. I don't know that though, but that's kind of what I'm picturing. But let's fire it up. I know you guys are waiting for that. Let's see if when we fire it up, if those blades start contacting. Actually, maybe I'll leave you guys out here for fun, in case it does. And I don't hear any clicky. So now one of the things we gotta check, I'm actually really glad it's not clicking that fan shroud. One of the things we gotta check is make sure the air is blowing the correct way. Also notice the AC line. Yes, I did have the hood shut with that. So that as far as the AC line has to go down, I feel like we're going to want to watch that and make sure it doesn't wiggle itself down, because that'll break the blade. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer actually, but that's alright. Pushing air way out the side for what it's worth, but there's a lot of air over here, so it is blowing the right way. Let's see if we can get a piece of paper or something. There we go. My receipt, I need to return that sensor. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. The old fan, it wouldn't even be blowing at all. So holy smokes. Way better. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that never happened before. Yeah, I think the AC is gonna work better. Hey, it's me from the future again. So, if you've made it this far, thank you. That's a lot of video. This was a longer one, but I was figuring it out as I went. So I actually had a different outro filmed, and then, like you saw earlier in the video when Future Me popped up as well, I got the fan shroud off of a 99 or a 2000 WJ that had a 4.7 liter fan clutch in it. And that is what I'm running right now. So let me show you how that fits in comparison to the one that you guys seen in the video. We're gonna do a little quick update. So this is the one that came from eBay, a junkyard essentially somewhere. This one is working a lot better. So the difference between the one you saw me install in the video and this one is, one, this was specifically built for the 4.7 liter, the older versions. You still have to modify the mounting point below in the exact same way. But the big difference here is the one that I ordered, and I'll link down below, this fan shroud is centered in the plastic, I think. This one that's built for the Jeep is not centered, so let's just pretend center is right here. This one is offset over to the left, or the passenger side. And it's offset not a lot, but enough so that when you look at this fan, I can't see what you guys can see. When you look at this fan, it is now a nice even gap. I can fit my fingers on this side. Oh, hopefully you can see. I can fit my fingers on this side. It's a nice even gap all the way around. It just fits way better, more almost like it was designed for this application actually. There's way better ways to do it, and that's by getting the 99, 2000, 2001 fan clutch setup on your WJ. Way much more highly recommend that route. So this outro I actually filmed a long time ago when I put this in. I have gotten rid of that outro because I knew that if I posted this video after I filmed it, you guys would have a bunch of questions about how the temps were and everything else, and I wouldn't be able to answer them because it hadn't been tried. I hadn't tried it yet. So I actually filmed this in the beginning of July. I installed this in July. It is now September, so I've got a couple months under my belt in the summer. Again, delivering for Amazon, running around like crazy. And I can unequivocally, amazingly say this setup is so much better than the hydraulic fan. Holy crap, this keeps cool. So before my temps, and I don't have no engineered data with temperature probes hooked up everywhere and grades monitoring and all that. But what I can say is, like I said in the beginning of this video, my temps when delivering on a hot day would hang out between 210 and 230. They'd ramp up to 230. The fan would kick on high speed and it would take forever, but it would eventually get it down to 210 and then it'd warm back up, way back down. With this fan, even on the hottest of hot days up here in South Dakota, which I get is only like 101 degrees tops, I never saw more than 207 degrees ever, and the AC still worked in that 207 degrees. So way better. It does suck power. That is something to be mindful of. The Jeep does seem to be a little bit weaker when you're getting on it, trying to pass someone on the freeway, get up to speed on the freeway, going up hills. There's a noticeable loss of power, in my opinion. So be mindful of that. Is it enough to change my mind? Heck no. This thing actually cools the Jeep, so I highly recommend it. Guys, I will link all the products down below. Probably won't be able to find a fan shroud. Just know you got to find one from a fan clutch driven 2099 to 2001, I think, 4.7 liter. That's the fan shroud I have. I will link the other shroud because if you need one, that one worked. Just I wasn't happy with it. I will link the clutch. I will link the fan blade, the hose for the power steering pump, the power steering pump. I'll link all that down below for you. Guys, remember, you click on my links and buy stuff off Amazon, not even the stuff you click on. Just click on the link, go find some, add it to your cart, buy it within a certain time frame. I make money. I appreciate making money, and that's kind of what keeps making me make videos. So no money, no videos. That's kind of where it's at. So help me out, guys. What else do I got to say? Not much. Guys, I have a ton of videos online on this Jeep specifically, as well as other WJs. I've played with WJs quite a bit. It's something I enjoy. I've enjoyed this platform. It's amazing in the South Dakota winters, and it just works. I've got plenty of modifications, the K&N, the washer fluid, all this. There's tons of repair videos. I haven't added it up, but it's probably a lot of videos. Guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate ya. You keep watching. I'll keep posting. We'll see you next time. Adios.